man? It's your boy Kloth and I'm back with another video, man. Look, if I'm not starting swear, I'm not going nowhere. But before I actually get started with this video, I do want to address something. So unless you've been completely off the grid, I'm talking no social media, no news coverage, no newspapers, no magazines. Also, all your friends and families have also been off the grid completely. Then you probably aren't aware of what's currently happening. But for the 99.99% of you all are aware of what's currently happening in LA.
Fear and concern is growing tonight as flames light up the Los Angeles hillsides. Firefighters are scrambling to contain several major fires tonight. Just into our newsroom, we are learning of another fire erupting, this time in Sylmar in the San Fernando Valley. Extremely strong winds are fanning the dangerous and potentially deadly flames that have already forced tens of thousands of people to evacuate.
I'm talking entire neighborhoods have been reduced to ash. People have lost their businesses and people have just lost their livelihood in these fires. And even though most of these fires have reached points of containment, I feel like that's only half the battle because now people are dealing with displacement, don't have access to clean water or food, and people are dealing with poor air qualities as these fires continue. And I just feel like people who deem themselves social media influencers or people who have a platform, I feel like the best thing we could do in these times is just amplify the voices of the people who are in need. So although I may not have the biggest platform, I may have somebody who watches this video. Let's say somebody watches this video or 500 people watch this video and they take a desired action to donate something. I feel like if one person donates $1 and 500 people watch this video and those 500 people take an action to donate, then that's $500. If somebody donates $2 or just any amount, just because I feel like it can be a little jarring when it comes to natural disasters. Like, how can I as one person make an impact? But every dollar, every cent goes a long way. So in the description of this video, I have links on resources for ways that you can make a direct impact in somebody's lives. Again, I'm not asking everyone to donate. I know everyone doesn't have the means to, but if you can, do. But let's get back to the video. This is gonna be another segment of Kloth Talk. Now again, Kloth Talk is just where I'm grabbing the article title, some hype beats and complex, and it's all talking about sneakers and fashion, the stuff that I love talking about, and I give my thoughts and opinions about what's currently happening in the culture. But without further ado, let's get into that first article. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. All right, so this article title reads, LVMH acquires majority stake in Kapital. Now, this was a mixed bag of emotions. You can go to any platform. Actually, I implore you all, go to any social media platform, whether it be TikTok or Instagram, and go to any page that reported on this, whether it be Little Jupiter, Complex, or Hypebeast. I want you to just look at what people are saying about this. I don't know if they projected this is what the reception of this news was gonna do, but boy, people were upset. And to honestly take it even a step further, go to Kapital's most recent post and then go to the comment sections. There are people pleading with this brand of please don't sell out, please don't ruin the brand, please, please, please. Like, people are genuinely upset. Let me just say this because I don't want this to get construed. Do I personally believe that Kapital is done for? People are no longer going to be rocking it, that they left it in 2024? No. And I think with this news dropping, I think this just puts a huge magnifying glass on the brand. I just feel like people are gonna be watching. Is quality gonna drop? Are they gonna start opening shops across the world? Because, you know, I think a lot of the appeal for Kapital for the most part is one, of course, the craftsmanship and the work that goes into each garment. But I think it makes it dope that you can't get it everywhere. There's only select retailers in the US that can even sell it. So it's like, there's a aspect of like exclusivity about it, and also there's just been like a cult that's been formed around the brand itself. Like, there are people who only shop Kapital, who only want Kapital pieces. And Kapital is also just like, let's understand this too. Like, some people that I know have been supporting the brand for a very long time, and Kapital is not just one of those brands that you just, you know, la-di-da, you walk into a place and you just spend $1,200, $1,500, $2,000, like $2,000 on a piece. Like, you're not just buying Kapital pieces just for the sake of buying Kapital pieces. Like, the lump sum of people I know that buy Kapital, they're looking for specific things, whether it be the Boro jacket, whether it be this specific denim, or like, you know, this crazy jacket. Like, Kapital is just one of those brands. Like, you're not just rolling up and buying a piece. Like, people are invested into the story, the craftsmanship, and just the integrity of the garments themselves. So again, I don't think this is the end of Kapital. Again, me being somebody that really loves the brand, I don't think this is gonna stop me from buying the brand, but I am interested to see what moves they're going to make. Because in the article, they talked about how LVMH is not gonna interfere with what they're doing. They're there to support them. They're not gonna try to mess with their production and all that. And that's kind of like, I don't know about that, because at the end of the day, the conglomerate that makes up LVMH, like, their main purpose is profit. So it's like, a lot of the things that Kapital does, whether it be, the Boro jackets that take a long time to produce, and, certain things that just can't be made in a mass scale, I feel like they're gonna try to weave in ways to kind of cut costs because they want to maximize revenue. So I personally don't see a way for them to kind of like just leave them and let them be without interfering and like, that's pretty expensive. Can we do it this way? Again, I'm just going off the top of my head. This is just unfiltered thoughts about, the news. When it got broke to me, I was like, that doesn't really sit right with me, because I think we like that Kapital was independent. They built this legacy for the past 40 or 50 years, and they've been able to do what they've been able to do because, they're the best at what they do. Like, you can't really get that type of quality from like a lot of brands that's out there. And I think this news also just comes very untimely, because I think the founder of Kapital only just passed either April or May of last year. So it hasn't even been a full year for people to really mourn the person that, brought this brand into existence, that has developed a cult following, and people only shop this brand. Like, they haven't even had the chance, and yeah, we're consumers, but like, people are investing money in this brand because these are not cheap pieces. They weren't able to fully mourn a full year before the brand kind of sold to a larger conglomerate. So I think it just comes at a very untimely time just because of the passing of the founder. And it just looks like, from an outside looking in perspective, it looks like they sold out, which I don't necessarily agree with. But again, we don't know what this means. We don't know what it's gonna look like. This news is fresh as hell. They haven't even done anything yet, so we don't know what it's gonna look like and what this majority stake is gonna evolve into. Again, I think this does put a huge magnifying glass on the brand to see if they're gonna, drop in quality, to see if they're gonna start opening shops across the world, to see if, they're gonna start, I think on an extreme level, I think a lot of people think that like, oh, you're gonna be able to walk into Macy's and buy a Kapital piece. And I just don't think that's what the case is. I think a lot of people are, taking this to the extreme. So again, we just have to wait to see. We don't know what this is gonna turn to. We don't know what the plan is. We don't know what the vision is. We're all outsiders looking in. And I think with a brand like Kapital that has built up the fan base that they do have, a lot of people are emotional about it. And we just have to wait to see. We don't know what this is gonna necessarily do, because it could bring good. We don't know. But again, personally, I do believe like they could have did without, because people are already strong Kapital supporters. Strong, like, if they drop something like it's for the most part going to sell out. And it kind of just reminds me, I'm going on a tangent. I've been talking about Kapital for a minute now. When people support a brand that's independent and you're supporting it for the fact that like, yeah, they have a good product, but they're also independent, it makes me think of the hair care brand Miele. This is a brand that I heavily, bought into, whether it be the leave-in conditioners, the beard oil. My barber, even back home, he's the one who put me onto this brand. And the peppermint oil, like that smell is engraved in my mind. But this is an independent brand, Black-owned brand. And they end up selling the company to Procter & Gamble. And then once we saw, like, this was an organic hair care brand, people supported it for the fact that it was organic. And then once they sold to Procter & Gamble, we started to see ingredients started getting put into the hair care goods. And then, people were either upset that they did that, and or people start seeing like their hair started to get, you know, messed up, like whether it was drying out quickly, it started to smell a little off. Like this is like stuff that actually happens when people who are independent and their own solely, like this is what happens when they tend to sell out, or they tend to sell the rights or majority stake to a company that is larger. And they're, for the most part, these companies that are so huge, their main thing is profit. They care about money. They don't care that you're getting organic hair care products. Like they genuinely do not care. They care, how can I cut costs and how can I maximize profit? So I think that's another reason why people think that like the LVMH thing is not gonna necessarily sit well with Kapital, because like they do things that don't necessarily, they can't get put on the mass production. Like those Boro jackets, or like, some of the silhouettes they tend to go for, like you can't mass produce those type of things because it will cost way too much. So again, at the end of the day, that's just my unfiltered thoughts. I kind of just went on a whole tangent. It wasn't really cohesive, but like, we don't know if it's going to be good for Kapital or if this is going to be bad for Kapital. We can only wait to see what it evolves into. I don't think this is the end of it. I don't think, especially with the reception they have been getting, I think they're going to invest heavy into it, because that first year, they know they got eyes on them. That second year, they may start weaning off like, hey, we got to cut costs. Third year, people don't really care about the news. Some people may have even forgotten that LVMH even bought majority stake in it. So they are completely removed from this news. So again, that's just my unfiltered thoughts. I'm just Greg. I'm just Kloth, man. I have my own thoughts and opinions, and I bring them to y'all. But I am interested though. Let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this majority stake news with LVMH and Kapital? Do you think this is going to be good, or do you think this is going to hurt the brand? I'm very curious to know, because every comment section I see, people say this is a no. But let's get into that next article. All right, so this article title reads, Ball Out in Balenciaga's new hoops collection. Our new hoops collection. Yeah, I said that right. All right, I may be in the majority when it comes to the brand Balenciaga, but personally, I still have not forgave them for what they try to pull in. I think it was 2022. If it was not 2022, it was early 2023. But I don't know if y'all are familiar with the ad campaign that they had, where it was kids and it was featuring BDSM teddy bears, and then they're like, in the mix of all the paperwork that was on the floor, they had court cases that, directly linked with pedophilia. Like, it was just some weird shit going on with this. And Balenciaga tried to get out of it by saying, we had nothing to do with that. We outsource our ads, or, that has nothing to do with us. That was them. And I think they end up suing that company. But the thing that never sat well with me with that is, you're telling me a brand, something as big as Balenciaga, there is a company that you outsource that makes your ads for you, and they can do whatever it is, they could stamp your name on this product and push it out for you without anything coming across your desk. I just don't think that's possible, bro. Like, I know this isn't about this article, but like, every time I see this brand, I'm just like, do people just forget that? Like, I feel like, me personally, I feel like what they tried to do was, they worked with that ad company. They put together, they, briefed it, because how did they even get the idea for that? Y'all had to put some input into this to make this thing come to life. So like, I think what they try to do is they're like, okay, like, we want to test the waters. A lot of brands try to test the water, try to be edgy, try to be, see what they can sneak in and see if people care. And if they end up caring, they could kind of like scapegoat, the blame of somebody else. But I think Balenciaga and whatever ad company it was, they came together. They're like, we want to do this. And then once it got the reception that it got, they're like, oh, we had nothing to do with this, like that. We didn't even see that. We didn't know that they were doing that. But it's like, again, it has your name on it. It is tied to you. So why did y'all even give them that much power to even push things out with y'all name on it if y'all weren't involved? So again, that's just my own headcanon on the whole, scandal that they had in 2022 or 2020, 3. Like, I still don't support this brand because I feel like that explanation wasn't good enough. They didn't take much accountability. So whenever I see this brand, I'm always just kind of like, like I'm cool off it. And it's sad because they've done things in the past, like archival pieces and like pieces that came out prior to that were like, oh, like that's actually pretty dope. I've actually almost been on the edge or on the cups of buying, 2 Balenciaga pieces. One was some slippers and the other pair was those boots that I wanted way back in 2022. Like, this was like a brand. I was like, oh, they actually doing some dope stuff. But again, I still don't support this brand. But back to this article, I think this article reinforces why this brand, there's no way you can tell me this brand is like a social status thing versus it actually producing good garments. And what I mean by that is they have jerseys in this article that are like $2,000. That bomber jacket is like $9,000. There is no way you're telling me you're buying this jacket for the craftsmanship. You're buying this for, the elite fabrics they're using. You're buying this for the fact that like, no one else is doing this. Like, you're solely buying these pieces to say, I have Balenciaga pieces, bro. I can think of like 4 to 5 other brands that did exactly these things, and you could buy it for almost a fraction of that cost, more than a fraction. Like, brand is just, it's so interesting, bro, that people still support this brand. Again, if you have pieces from them, cool, that's just you. Me personally, once you start doing stuff and you start sexualizing kids, like, I'm cool. I don't ever have to support your brand again. Like, y'all didn't take the right course of action to, really amend this. Like, y'all should have did like some campaign to like, donate money or something. Like, y'all should have did something way bigger than what y'all did. Instead, y'all try to scapegoat, y'all try to blame, like it wasn't us, it was them. And I just feel like that's lame. In my opinion, that's lame. And then, y'all keep putting out stuff like this where it's like, where's the creative direction for it? I know this is a collection for basketball, I get that, but y'all could have did way more. Like, this is very basic and it looks like some and one shit. Like, this is just and one silhouettes with Balenciaga branding. Like, there's nothing dope about this. Again, if you're buying a $2,000 jersey that has Balenciaga and 01 on the back, you're solely buying it just to say you have Balenciaga pieces. You can't prove me wrong on that. There's no way you're telling me that's cold. You just can't do it. I refuse to believe that. But again, I'm not gonna spend too much time. I feel like I talk more about the past versus what this article is. But this article is just like, there's no way people are buying a $9,000 bomber that has this on the back of it and they're saying, oh, this is heat. Like, I don't believe it, bro. I just don't. Yeah. But let's get into that next article. All right, so this article title reads, Nonnative gives ASICS Gel-Yeti the Gore-tex treatment. I mean, yeah, these are exactly what I would want from a boot, or at least a type of boot. I think there's different ways that you could go about making a dope boot. This is fire. I actually really like these a lot. They actually kind of remind me of my Solomons. I mean, I wouldn't say all the way, but it does kind of have similar characteristics in my opinion. But yeah, these boots are fire. The one thing that I do not, and I've talked about this actually in another ASICS video, I've talked about this in another ASICS video. I do not like smart lacing or tech lacing. It never works for me. It doesn't give me the option to be creative with my lacing. And I feel like there's more room for error when it comes to like tech lacing or smart lacing. Cause like, again, if this piece snaps off, how can the average person fix this piece to make it go back at least to somewhat of the original state? I feel like once this piece is broke or once this thing is gone, you can no longer rock it to its true form. And I feel like with just like a simple lacing mechanism or like, if it was like just a lacing thing, there's more room for error to be had versus with the smart lacing. Like once that thing breaks or once it gets chipped or once it gets, once it falls off, like you're kind of just stuck there with just laces that don't necessarily fit what the boot, if that makes sense. But again, other than that, like this is my type of boot. I like the shape of it. I like the whole like lacing system on the top of the boot and it kind of circles all the way up to the top. I like that. It kind of reminds me of my Collegium Markless Shark boots. Like, I like these boots. These are fire. ASICS. Let me talk to you. If you're watching this and you're like, man, he would look good in those boots, feel free to contact me at creativekloth96gmail.com. Yeah, but all in all, like, this is really dope. I think this is a great collab. I think both brands kind of match well together, like Nonnative and ASICS. This fits both of their characteristics, or it fits both of their aesthetics. So like, when I look at it, it doesn't look like it's off. It doesn't like look like the brands don't necessarily pair well together. Like, this looks like a cohesive thing that they brought together, and I think it works really well. Again, I like the silhouette. I think they should not just let this be a collab boot that comes out and they don't revisit. Like, again, like I said with the Skepta boots from, I think it was Puma. I think Puma put those out, or Reebok. One of those two. Those Skepta, Reeboks, or Pumas, don't let that just be something that it's a collab and you don't revisit it. Like, make some GRs for those. Like, make GRs for these ASICS boots, because these are fire. I would love to see these in different colorways, maybe some more brighter tones, or, you know, like some more neutral tones and warm tones. Like, I want to see this boot in different things. Don't just give this to them as a collab. Like, produce these, make some more, because I really like them. This color is dope, but I already do have a boot that's brown, so I'm not really in the market to buy a new boot unless it's gifted. But yeah, all in all, I think this is a really dope collab. Not really much to mention here. I think these already released. I think this released January 11th, it said in the article. So I think they're really dope. I think this is gonna be something that is gonna continue to kind of push into 2025. I would say if there was one style prediction that I think is gonna happen in 2025, I think people are gonna lean more into boots. I feel like boots kind of got a resurgence in 2024, but I think that's gonna continue to push through in 2025. Like, boots are gonna be bigger than what people think they're gonna be. So definitely be on the watch out for that, because I feel like boots are gonna start making, like, I think the year prior, like 2023, like, you know, sneakers and loafers, 2022 sneakers and loafers, and like somewhere between 2023 and 2024, boots start to kind of make an impact. You know, it had the Veneta Carter 10s, and like, there's a lot more companies revisiting or, you know, producing boots. And I think boots are gonna kind of be a trend that's heavy even into the summer, because if you rock some shorts and you got some boots on, like, you're still dressing for the summer, but you just have boots on. Like, I think boots are going to be a big trend in 2025. But other than that, like, that's all I have to say about those ASICS. Those are fire, other than like that's tech lacing, smart lacing. Other than that, fire silhouette. Don't just stop there. Drop some GRs. Put some more colorways out there, because I would love to see them in different colors. But that is going to wrap up this video. Again, I'm sorry I didn't put this out yesterday. I just wasn't like, I cannot put myself on camera if I'm not feeling it. And I got in front of this camera. I tried to record yesterday. It just was not coming out. Like, everything I said sounded kind of off. It sounded weird. I was feeling pressured to post because, you know, the time was coming up, and I was just like, no, I can't do that. It's not fair to y'all. It's not fair to me. So I want to like actually feel good about it. I want to actually be in the spirit of recording. So that's why I got the video today. But if you made it this far at this point, man, go ahead and like the video. We're almost at 2K subs. We making our way there. But without further ado, like I always do, I'll catch you in the next one.
But I love the way you work it. Ay, I love the way you work it for me.